Get on our AM Minnesota program today. We are talking about the South Central Minnesota Studio Art Tour and Sale. I want to emphasize the and sale part because, well, that's why they're in the business, right? They're struggling artists. In studio today we have Julie Faulkner, who's from the Paradise Center for the Arts. Tom Saywillis is with us, and also Jessica Purcell is with us today.
Prill, but we can
Pardon?
change it up every time you say it.
Jessica Prill.
Oh, it's Prill. I'm sorry. P-R-I-L-L. I don't know why I put Purcell down here. Man, I'm losing it today. Anyway, Jessica, tell us a little bit more about how you got into art, if you would, please.
Well, I guess I always did art, but to get into jewelry, I worked at a gift shop in Northfield, which I ended up purchasing. And I noticed that people loved eyeglass holders, like that you put on your readers or whatever
Yep.
to keep them from falling off.
Right.
And we would buy these little beaded chains for like $9 or $10 and resell them for like $25 to these people. And I thought, you know, I could do that. So I started with just stringing little seed beads, and I loved selling and, you know, making something and having people buy it, and I thought that was so cool. And of course then the bead addiction started in, and the local bead store couldn't get rid of me, and then I found stones, and then someone introduced me to somebody who worked with silver, so then I started working with silver, and now I just have a massive collection of beads, stones, and silver, and the artwork is to make that all worthwhile, I guess. I spent all my money on beads and jewelry, or jewelry making components, and I have to sell it so I can eat again.
Yeah, well, so you can purchase more.
Right, or purchase more.
That's how it all kind of works, right?
Right.
We were chatting off the break, Tom, and you were saying, because I was asking you how you guys can afford to both be artists in retirement here, and you said, well, I could be playing golf and spending money and not getting anything in return, which I thought was a pretty good point.
Well, you know, we're bass fishing. You know, I look, people say, oh, didn't your studio cost a lot of money? Less than a four-wheel drive, 3/4 ton pickup truck to pull a bass boat. I don't have to go 200 miles every weekend to go fishing. Plus, I make enough money selling pottery to support my habit. So I have a hobby in retirement that doesn't cost a dime, and I truly enjoy.
How can you beat that?
I don't know. I've thought about it, but I get up every morning and go to my studio. I have something to do, something to look forward to, something new.
You do some classes too down at the Paradise, don't you?
I
Tom?
have taught some classes. I would teach the classes I teach at the Faribault Art Center is I won't let anyone in under 40 years of age.
That counts me out.
Because I wanted to call it, no, I won't say it, but I wanted to call it pottery for old farts, but they wouldn't let me put that on there because I was so intimidated when I started with the 15-year-olds.
I suppose.
The last class I taught, the average age was 72 years of age.
That's awesome.
And the guys just loved it. So that's what I look at as something to do after you've done what you've had to do. In other words, you had to work for a living. I'm retired. I want to do something I truly enjoy.
And you really do you like teaching?
I like teaching the older. I also have taught classes came out of the Northfield High School. I get, for I think 5 years, I taught the best students that the Northfield Clay group had that were not quite graduated or were going to graduate the next year, and I do a 2-week in my studio with students. But I just love to tinker.
So it's kind of like an art camp, you said?
Yeah. Boot camp is really the way it was. It was from 9 to 5, 5 days a week for 2 weeks. They did nothing but clay.
Took some strong hands out the end of that 2 weeks.
That would be a lot of fun. Now, Julie, you've taught, right?
I teach paint a portrait of your pet class. So we all paint our own pets.
And this is for all ages.
All ages. I've done ages 5 to 75.
Oh my.
Mm-hmm.
That's quite a change. I mean,
Yeah.
that's quite a range.
Yeah, yep. I just teach them how to paint like I paint. So if you want to see how I paint, come and take the class at the Paradise November 15th.
How's that for a plug, eh?
Hey, pretty good.
You can call the Paradise and get details about that. So you are obviously on this tour.
Yes, I'm on the north end of Faribault. This is my 7th year, I think.
Pretty close.
It's the only time I have my studio open to the public, and I really enjoy it. I get my mother and my mother-in-law to bake a lot of homemade goods, and we kind of basically throw a party. So
Really?
come down and see me and Diane Lockerbie. Yep.
Now that's not always true. All these stops don't have food and stuff, or do they?
I believe some usually do. My family, first thing we think about is food. So we're going to have some apple pie bars, white chicken chili, mini
I'm coming to your
quiches.
studio.
Diane Lockerbie makes homemade candies, and of course, I'm going to support the Cheese Cave and have some Cheese Cave Goudas and cheddars and Swiss.
Oh my.
Yep.
You're making me hungry. So make sure you hit Julie's studio, folks.
That's at 1212 First Avenue Northwest in Faribault.
And obviously you have items for sale.
Yes, I have over 100 paintings. I have framed paintings, unframed paintings, chickens, goats, cows, cats, dogs.
So I could commission you to do a portrait of my pet.
Yes, I do that quite a bit.
So you do it from a photo, I'm guessing.
Sometimes I like to, I prefer to meet the animal and take the photos myself, but sometimes, actually more than half, the pet has passed away. So I do have to work from photos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They just want a little keepsake to remind them of their pet.
Memorial.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense. How about you, Tom? You're looking to sell some of your pottery, I would assume. That's why you're doing this.
Yeah, we're in Studio 7, so if you actually go on the line, because trying to explain where it is, but it's in Northfield.
Yep.
There's 7 artists at our studios. See, Judy has her studio, I have my studio, and then we open up the house for another couple more artists. So there'll be 3 clay artists, a weaver, 2 glass bead makers, a bookmaker, and box maker. So we have a lot of people, a lot of artists at our studio because we have the space, and plus we like all the people that come, and they're friends and good artists.
You can have food too?
Oh yeah, Judy's this morning is making her pumpkin spice cookies
Ooh, that sounds good.
by the dozens.
Are they good?
Yeah, they're good. I gotta say they're good. I prefer chocolate chip, but okay.
I was wondering where we were going with that. Tom had to think there for a second.
Quick.
Yeah, it was very good, Tom. Do you prefer chocolate chip?
I prefer chocolate chip, but she
Okay.
likes the pumpkin spice, and she's the one that's baking them today. So
Yeah. Well, Judy, if you're listening, make a batch of chocolate chip for your hubby. Jessica, you can have food at your studio, and where are you located?
Well, now I'm feeling a little inferior because I don't have a menu.
Ah.
But I guess I'll be working on one today. I'm going to be at the Northfield Arts Guild. They've opened up the dance studio upstairs for a couple of artists. So I will be there along with, well, now I'm not sure that Emily is still, is that the one that's not? Okay, so it will be myself, Leanne Strumka, both of us make jewelry, and then Lucky Rimpilla, I guess is how you say it, and that's a glass artist. So sorry if
Okay.
I butchered your last name.
That's at the Northfield Arts Guild.
That's at the Northfield Arts Guild. Yeah,
Which
right on
is-
Division Street in Northfield, downtown Northfield.
Okay, is this going to give the address? 304 Division Street South.
Yes.
304 Division Street South.
And if you're on the map, if you have one of the maps, we are number 20.
And to see all the artists and the addresses and what they do, you can go to the website, studioarttour.com, and that is ARTOUR. So there's only one T. That's not art tour, it's ARTOUR.com.
You don't have to do the capitals on the art?
No, no. And we're also on Facebook, and you can find the information there also.
Yep, that's www.studioarttour, and again it's 1T.com. 21 different studios, it says here, and 40 different artists.
Mm-hmm.
So that takes a little organization. Who does all that?
I think Judy has been heading it up this year with Sue. Sue HK. What's Sue's real last name?
Uh-oh, Tom's
Knopf is her last name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Judy started this art tour 12 years ago and ran it for, I think, about the first 5 or 6 years she ran it, and then turned it over, and there were some other people working on it, and it kind of swung back to her again. So, trying to get the word out. One of the reasons we're here is to
Sure.
get the word out to the people,
No.
and to keep it going, because it does a lot of good for the artists, and it also shows that this community has got a lot of art in it. And come and enjoy it, because, well, the one thing is, come to my studio this weekend. It's the only time of the year you see it clean.
That's for sure.
The rest of the time it's helter-skelter. But I have 2 other potters with me, 2 completely different potters. My work is mainly functional. One potter, Deanne Engvall, does dragons, if you can imagine.
Okay.
Sculptured dragons, fired in Raku, so they have metallic colors and they're all fancy. The other artist who's actually working in my studio now is Chrissy Clark. She's from Northfield, taught for years art at Northfield High School, and she does some sculptural work, vases, but shapes that you couldn't use for anything else other than looking at, and they're beautiful. So
So it's an abstract art.
abstract art, but there's all this variety that's available at all of the studios.
Yeah, that's the beauty of this tour.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a medium that isn't represented here? I don't think there is there?
I think we've.
Performance art.
Yeah, well, yeah.
There's no performance art.
Yeah, we
Or
should
we
get some
should-
live music.
Yeah.
We've got ceramics, metal, jewelry, painting, glass, textiles, books, wood, all kinds of it. And like Tom said, there's a huge variation on just the ceramics and just the painting and jewelry.
But as far as the visual arts goes, this covers the whole range, which is the beauty of the tour again. I was mentioning when we had, I think I've mentioned this to you a few times on the air, in their later years, my folks, I would buy them art for Christmas presents.
Mm-hmm.
And they seem to enjoy that because they, I had everything they need when they're in their 80s.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Unique, one of a kind handmade items make perfect gifts.
And when I see that piece of art, I think of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you get to meet the artist, and I think that makes it an even more special piece. There's always a story with every piece, whether it's a good story or we need therapy, but each piece has its own personality, and you can kind of discover that when you talk to the artist. And
Sure. Are most artists outgoing?
Not everyone, but if you want to sell your work, it's something you got to do.
Yeah. Most definitely. Well, again, the South Central Minnesota Art Tour is this Saturday and Sunday. You want to go over the hours there, Tom, or somebody?
We do have some studios open Friday evening also.
Oh, you do?
Yep. I know number 7 is open, number 10 is open, and there's several others are going to be open Friday, October 14th, 4 to 8 p.m. And then we continue with Saturday and Sunday. Everybody will be open. Saturday will be 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Rain or shine.
Yeah. You got to get all ready to possibly have some people with muddy shoes, huh?
That's part of the art business.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You do art fairs, and you are out in the elements under a tent. So this is kind of nice. At least we've got a dry place to go into if there's a problem.
Right.
If the weather's not good.
You have a neat brochure here that how can people get a hold of this?
You can pick those up at the Northfield Arts Guild, the Paradise Center for the Arts, and we do have a list of sponsors on the website, and you can pick them up at any of those locations also.
Is this on the website as well?
I believe so.
Yes.
Yes.
So you can check out that website again.
StudioArtTour.com.
And Facebook is Studio Art Tour.
Yes.
Just one T again.
Mm-hmm.
Art.
ARTOUR.
There's some really interesting items here.
Yes.
Gordy, you can also pick up the brochure at your front desk
Yes.
here at KDHL.
Ah, yeah, that's right. That's where I got mine. I forgot about that. Anyway, Julie, I love some of the artwork featured on here that you got.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Quite the
Very-
variety.
And I'm looking for Jessica's.
I am down on the bottom.
You toward the bottom?
20.
I'm going to find Jessica here. Well, I know where Jessica is. She's sitting to my left. But there it is. Some jewelry there. Wow, that's very nice.
Thank you.
How long did it take you to put that together?
You know, I can't even remember. I block it out. I try not to think about the time and just get lost in making the piece. But long enough, it was a labor of love.
So how do you determine the price of your stuff?
That's a really good question, and I probably should come up with a better formula than I do, but I just kind of decide what will I part with this for. You spend
Okay.
a lot of time with something and you kind of get attached to it, and then
So
you
you
think,
don't keep track of your hours? And then
well, I do. I mean, there's a loose track, but you know, you kind of spend so much time playing with the design. I mean, if I were to really charge by the hour, my pieces would be thousands of dollars probably. I'm not the most efficient artist. I don't really do this as a career. It's kind of a hobby, so
Okay.
I spend more time playing than I do really anything else.
But you'll make anything people want. So if they come on the tour,
Yes, if they want to do a custom piece, I will absolutely do something for them, and I've done a lot of custom work as well.
but I would guess a custom piece is a little more.
Yeah, that would be, it would depend on the materials and the time. I pay much more attention to the time and don't play around so much when I do custom work, so.
Yeah, you get a bit of a deadline, I suppose.
Right.
But if somebody wanted something for the holidays, for example, you might want to get that done right now.
Yeah, but I'd like to think I have a lot of selection that they could choose from already made. So, and I can always alter things and everything like that, so.
But you, Tom, how do you determine the price of the piece?
Well, I've been told that I don't charge enough. Then I've been told I've charged too much.
Well, I'm sure.
It's basically, it's by the size, believe it or not. It doesn't sound right, but if you loading a kiln, you can only get so many pieces in the kiln. A platter costs more than a bowl, even if it's got the same amount of clay in it, because it takes twice as much space or 3 times as much space in the kiln to fire. That's one. Two, if I'm making a repeat, although I don't make sets of anything, and I don't take any commissions, I only make what I want to make, but I may make 15 or 20 bowls that are all about the same shape. Those, because I've gotten the routine down and everything, are less money than a one of that I've tried to push the limits of the clay and push the limits of my ability. And if I fall in love with it, it costs more money. If it's,
That makes sense. I mean, you might as well keep it if
I
you
have
put the time in it.
if you come to my studio, you'll see there's shelving all the way around it, and you'll see that the top 2 shelves in my studio are not for sale. Those are pieces usually that haven't turned out well, but are going to be revisited. Those are pots that I fell in love with the shape and or the glaze or the combination of the two, and I'm going to go back to those, but you can't have them now. But it's amazing, people come in and they go, how much is that one up on the top of the shelf? And I say, see the sign? Not for sale above. Teaser.
We
I
are
guess.
so blessed to have terrific artists right here in the area. I mean, we're not talking just Farmington, Northfield, and Faribault, which this tour encompasses, but Waseca, Owatonna, I mean, all over the area.
There's a lot of visual artists in Minnesota and performing artists. And the state of Minnesota supports their artists.
And that's good. Not every
Mhm.
state does.
No.
Right?
Yeah, I've gotten a grant from CMAC twice now, and it's been amazing. It's really neat how many options there are out there for artists. If you're willing to put in the time and work to fill out some paperwork and put your heart on the line and be judged harshly, but
All 3 of us are recipients of CMAC grants.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And a lot of the artists on the tour also.
Is it really quite the cumbersome process? Is there a lot of
I
paperwork?
think your first time out's the hardest, but once you kind of get used to the format, it gets easier and easier.
Some awesome jewelry included on here. Painting is awesome. Photography included. Prints. You name it. it's all located in the brochure and on the website, I assume.
Yep.
So again, you want to run over those hours again, Julie? You said Friday that there's some.
Friday, some of the studios are going to be open 4 to 8. Saturday, 10 to 6. Sunday, 10 to 5.
Most places have refreshments.
Most of them do. I'm not gonna. Don't quote me on that.
No, I said
some may
most.
not.
Come for the food, stay for the artists.
Yeah.
Most places have it, and it's not necessarily needed, to be
No.
honest. I mean, just imagine how much weight you'd put on if they had some food at every single one of these places.
Well, especially if you visit all 21 studios.
Yeah. Does anybody do that? I mean, do you get a lot of people that go to all 21?
Yeah, there's quite a few people that visit all 21. It's impossible to do in a day.
Yeah, I would think so.
But that's one of the reasons why we're open Friday night. We have a group of people that come every year on Friday. Actually, most of the people that come on Friday we know or have dealt with before. And then Saturday is usually our biggest day. It's going to be kind of interesting if it rains, but Sunday is always a good day too.
All right. Make sure you take in the South Central Minnesota Studio and Sale, our art tour and sale, which is this weekend here in Farmington, Northfield, and Faribault included on that. Thanks, Julie.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Good to
Thank you.
have you in the studio the first time in about 8,000 years. It was nice meeting you, Jessica, even though I got your name wrong.
Oh, that's okay.
That concludes today's edition of AM Minnesota on KDHL AM Faribault, Minnesota.